Well, hello, YouTube. I hope this will be quick. I say quick, but sometimes I'm worried that I say it's going to be quick and it's not. I tend to ramble a little bit. Just wanted to talk about a few things because I just had the opportunity to complete a survey. YouTube had this little thing at the top of its when I was trying to do something at the creator content page, and I went ahead and I clicked on that and I did the survey. Anyway, so I did the survey and it gave me a chance to tell YouTube some of the things. Well, tell the survey company, it may not even make it to Google or YouTube, but explain some of the things that make me very dissatisfied with YouTube as a content sharing platform. My biggest irk is the monetization guidelines. I guess around 2017 is when they initiated this so many views and so many subscriptions rule because a lot of spammers basically ruined it for everybody else. Um, I don't know exactly if that's true or not, and I was around, I think, even back then, but I just wasn't serious with my channel. And I didn't want to force ads on people. I was trying to be nice to the few people that were watching my videos and not make them choke on a bunch of ads. But now I see that that was a very stupid position to take because nobody really cares about the ads now. I've lost my chance to become monetized. I could have become monetized before any sort of restriction was put in, and I wouldn't have to worry about my amount of subscribers or views. And I also see now that it was a bit of self-destructive behavior being presented to me or presented to myself as some kind of selfless or piety type act. Like, sure, I can be a monk and I can get my little beggar bowl out and I can go beg for my, supper somewhere. And if you're a Buddhist monk and that's the way you want to live, or any sort of monk that does that, that's the way you want to live, so be it. But I think that as people, we tend to where our society raises us to disregard or ignore or outright run away from the ability or the desire or the pursuit of abundance. This whole thing is coming from this whole fear, lack, um, what's the other word for it? My brain is freezing up on me. Scarcity kind of mindset. If I take from this, then I'm taking away from somebody else. But that's not the case. The universe is infinitely abundant. There is not a limited supply of anything, regardless of what scientists and religion, whatever else says. Regardless of what you're seeing on your store shelf, everything in your world is at its core, it's an energy. And all you're finding and interacting with are physical manifestations of that energy, and that includes money. But energy itself is non destructible and is infinite. There's no end to the energetic, base of all things that exist. In any case, there's this whole agenda being pushed by our society, by those who raise us, by religion. And those who raise us are doing it not because they're aware of why they're doing it. They were raised the same way. It's just an agenda that they're just passing on. It's like a hereditary thing. It's like going from father to son or daughter to or mother to daughter or whatever. It's just the same thought that there's only so much to go around, and if I take of any of it, then I'm taking away from somebody else. There's starving children in Africa, so I have to starve and suffer, and you're not doing them any favors by starving and suffering. You can't help them. There's no way you can assist anybody anywhere in the world if you haven't filled up your cup. If you aren't having abundance in your life, you have nothing of which you can give to anybody else. You have to have an excess in order to give to anyone else. You have to have your cup filled in order to have anything in your cup to give to another person. So anyway, it was out of this false modesty or piety or whatever that I decided not to sign up for the ads, and now it's bitten me on the rear end, as it were. So And then this whole political thing has come about with the whole, anti-Trump stuff going on and censorship. And YouTube, that was another problem for me. YouTube needs to be politically neutral. It cannot have a political opinion or bias. Right now it does. It may say it doesn't, but it does. And it probably has it because its advertisers require it. It's probably the advertisers that are bringing money into the platform, paying its creators and stuff, that are kind of pulling the strings of what YouTube is allowing or not allowing, censoring or not censoring. I have a hunch that that's what's going on. It's not so much YouTube itself making a decision, it's because the advertisers are pulling the strings. If YouTube said, hey, we're going to be politically neutral, we're not going to take a stance, we're going to allow anybody to post about any kind of the political side of Trump or any of the other situation, if they did that, my hunch is that a bunch of advertisers would leave, some of the payment processors would probably have pressure put on them or would put pressure themselves, they would leave, and YouTube would start to go downhill as a platform because the content creators wouldn't be able to be paid. So that's the blessing, I guess, and the curse with the whole advertiser money is that if you have an advertiser that has a political agenda and they want to push their political agenda, then they can pull the strings of a place like YouTube and censor content creators. So I'm actually looking at other platforms right now. I'm looking at, I believe, BitChute, and I'm looking at BitTube. I believe that's what it's called, BitTube TV. Those are the two things I'm looking at. I'm kind of looking at DTube, but I think BitTube TV is the best one of them all. But I'm looking at that because there's a way there, I think, that I can make some money. I can put some videos there. I'm thinking I might remove the Raid Shadow Legends videos off of my main channel because I'm not playing the game anymore. They're not of any value to me, but they do generate views, and they would be new content for that platform. So maybe I'll upload them there and see if I get any money. I don't even know if there'll be restrictions with the link and whatever. I think one of these sites required you to have a membership. You had free membership, and then you had $1 a month in some other ones. And that makes me a little leery. So I don't know. I don't think there's a real good alternative to YouTube. Even if you found a really good platform where you could share whatever you wanted uncensored, within the bounds of the reasonable bounds of the law. Even if you found something like that, there's no guarantee you can get the views, you can bring people over, or that the site itself is getting the traffic. The whole point of any kind of moving that I would be doing is to go somewhere where I could, actually get paid. I don't have the restrictions like the so many views or subscriptions that YouTube has. Anyway, I put that feedback into YouTube or through this this survey, and we'll see what happens with it. And that's kind of the plan right now. If I find success at a place like BitTube TV, I might just go there. I don't want to mess with the whole BitTorrent thing, but I don't want to be censored. There was a lot of stuff that I wanted to say about everything that was going on with the whole Trump situation. A lot of stuff I wanted to talk about, and I didn't feel I could. And I know there's some negativity along that line. There's negativity with BitChute. Apparently, a lot of things. When you look at Google and you look BitChute up on Google, you're going to find a lot about talking about. I think they said right-wing extremists and hate speech and all kinds of stuff like that. I did find an article dated like a month ago, like in January 2021. Actually, I guess it's 2 months ago now. Anyway, they were dated just 2 months ago, and they were linking to all these really bad videos they were talking about, but I clicked on those titles, and I copied them, and I put them into BitChute, and they're not there anymore, but there is still the Ku Klux Klan archives, so there is possibly some of that stuff there that's kind of negative. But here's the thing that people need to remember. When the Constitution was written, it's right to free speech, and that's it. There's no limiting on what that free speech is. Here in America, you have the right to say, think, do pretty much whatever you want within the, of course, legal bounds. But you're allowed to have your own thoughts, believe your own beliefs, and say what you want to say. That is what you are allowed under the Constitution. That is the right of free speech. There's no limit to what you can talk about. You may not like it or agree with it, but any kind of hate speech or hate propaganda or terrorist propaganda or any of that kind of stuff is protected under the right of free speech. You don't have to agree with it, you don't have to like it, but you do have to agree with and acknowledge that there is free speech rights. That's what makes America a country that is a democracy, and it's not a place like North Korea, which is, I had the word and I forget the word all the time, but where you just have, one person in charge of everything, like back when Hitler was in charge of Germany. The word is gone again. I had it in my mind and it's gone again. I think it also starts with a D. I just can't get the word out. But anyway, America is supposed to be a democracy. It's supposed to be a place of free speech. The whole founding of America, as I understood it, was a bunch of people coming over from England who had their own, version of the religion outside of what the Church of England was teaching, and they wanted to pursue that. And we have to protect those ideals. It doesn't matter if you don't like it. We have to protect it and allow it to be. It has to be allowed, because to limit any group or any religion or anything at all like that is to violate the whole idea of the Constitution and the whole founding of the country. There's some things I wanted to talk about. I know this isn't a very smoothly done vlog. I'm doing it in one take. Just some stuff on my mind right now, some things I wanted to make you guys aware of. Look for the raid videos to be removed probably within the next couple of months if I decide to take them over to, I don't think I'll use BitChute. I think I'll try BitTube first, and we'll see how that goes. If I'm not getting paid or getting any money out of BitTube, I won't stick around. I'll give it a try with the one thing I have that might get some views and some traffic, and we'll see what happens. I would like to, though, eventually leave YouTube behind entirely, unless they do a complete revamp and change and become politically neutral. If they can actually become politically neutral and not, have a bias one way or the other, not promote or enforce or anything else of any sort of political bias to one extreme or the other, if they can just stay neutral, just like Switzerland stays neutral, they can be neutral like that, then, maybe I'd stick around. But I don't want to be censored, and I don't want to be in a place that is politically biased or is pushing any sort of an agenda. I think that's actually worse than any kind of hate speech or terrorist propaganda. I think it's worse when somebody has a lot of power, has a lot of outreach, has a lot of connection, is one of the main choices that you would have. You're going to upload content. The first place you're going to think about is YouTube. And if a place like YouTube uses all of that power and influence to control the political message of people or the religious message of people or any other thing of people, well, then I think that's a worse crime, in my opinion. That's far worse, because that's actually against the whole Constitution, and YouTube should be under the dictates of the Constitution, both within its virtual walls and its physical walls and outside of it. As long as YouTube is founded or in any way hosted or located within the recognized physical borders of America, it needs to abide by the rules of the Constitution. That's just the way it has to be, or the way it should be anyway. But that's my opinion on that. Comment below. Let me know what you think about any of this. Let me know what you think about BitChute if you used it. I'd like to know if you made any money out of BitChute or BitTube. Comment if you use BitTube. Let me know if you've used that. Let me know what you think about DTube, if you made any money off of that. Those are the only three that I know that are good video hosting sites to try that I have off the top of my head. I'm looking for the one that I can actually, right off the bat, sign up and without paying a huge amount of fees and stuff, I could start earning a little bit of money. I need to have some kind of income coming in each month. I had to have a regular income coming in, and it has to be substantial because very shortly, as I might have mentioned before, the contract where we live here, our lease, will be up, and we have to have another place to live by then. And right now I don't have that. I don't have any options, and it's not a good situation for me if I don't have something figured out. I brought it on myself. I don't blame anybody else, and I don't expect anybody to hand anything to me on a platter. And I'm willing to work for things as long as I'm getting, paid substantially well and for my work, and it's actually going to make a difference in my life. What I mean by that is getting a job at Jack in the Box and manning the drive-through window isn't going to pay for a decent place to live. I have to have, if I'm going to have a job or some kind of income, it has to be enough that it has to pay for a good place to live. And it has to be compensating for the work that I put in. I often think it's so stupid when they do these minimum wage, raising the minimum wage, because all that happens is everybody raises their costs. Groceries go up, rent goes up, everything goes up, and then it's just balanced back out. I don't think, I'd have to see a graph and do some research, but I don't think the gap between minimum wage and what you can afford for where you can live or something like that has changed substantially within the last 20 years. Even as minimum wage has gone up, I think it's been something like this. Here's minimum wage, here's like good rent for a really nice house or something, and it's always been like this. It's never been like this where you're getting closer to where you can afford the thing. It's always like this. Just raises everything. I don't know what that's called. I'm not an economist, and I might be wrong on that, but that's my guess. My guess is there hasn't been. So I think it's really stupid, and I don't think $15 an hour for some of the work that you have to do, like if you're working at a mill and you're basically killing yourself off, or you're working at an assembly line, standing on a concrete floor all day, I don't think $15 an hour, $10, I don't think any of that's worth it. I think if you paid $50 or $60 or $100 an hour, and I think that this needs to be concreted. There has to be some kind of regulation on rent and lease raising and food and all of that stuff. So this can't increase, and the money can increase so you can actually get closer to the things that you want to get within society. But I guess that's not a realistic model, or that's not how things work. I probably have a very bad, naive understanding of things. But I don't think that working somewhere for 50 years, tearing up your body for, $10, $15, $20 an hour, I don't think that's worth it. And I get angry when I think about these CEOs of large corporations that are earning, $100,000, $200,000 a year, and all they do is sit on their pardon my language, and they don't do anything. They do very little. They might shuffle some paper, they might do some meetings, but try to put one of those guys in a job where they're standing on a concrete floor and working for 10 hours a day for a couple of years, I don't think they'd make it. They don't work hard like that. They don't do any kind of equivalent effort for the money they earn. We recently had a story in our paper here about a school supervisor or principal or some guy who was going to be getting a severance package of, I think it was $100K a year, well, not a severance, a retirement package of $100K a year, $50K. It was some really high exorbitant number. And yet we're complaining about our schools being underfunded, and this guy who is in charge of the schools is getting paid this much money, and for what? Why does he deserve that much money? I can't imagine he actually did the equivalent amount of work for the money he's earning. So I know that the teachers might deserve that kind of money on retirement. I know that. I know that maybe some principals do. I don't think this guy was a principal either. I think he was like some kind of supervisor or something. It's ridiculous. A lot of things that I don't agree with in our society, but the biggest issue that I have right now is with this censorship going on, especially around all these political topics, and I don't want to be a part of it, so I don't want to be a part of a platform that's engaged in that. So I'm kind of looking at moving, and I don't know when I will, or if I will, or if I'll be able to. I'm not going to bother if there's nowhere to move where I could earn any better income than where I have less of a chance of earning income than I do here at YouTube. I'll just stick with YouTube until I reach views and subscriptions, or either that, or I'll just give up and just stop doing videos at YouTube if it just never realizes any profit. I'm not going to sit here. It's like going to a place where you're going to mine in the side of a mountain, and you dig and you dig and you dig and you put up the beams and you go through all the work of digging into the mountain trying to find gold. You're not going to keep digging and digging and digging and never finding any. If you don't get some gold to pay for the costs and the time and the effort of you digging into that mountain, you're going to stop eventually. You're not going to keep doing it. You don't do that kind of labor for free. And while this is not quite that physically intensive, it's the same principle. I'm not going to sit here and keep working away at YouTube and not getting paid for it. I can't live like that. I'm putting in a lot of time to create these videos and to edit them, and I actually enjoy doing it. I enjoy being a quote-unquote YouTuber, although I don't know if I can officially call myself that yet. I haven't made it as a YouTuber yet, but I don't know that, I don't know that I want to keep being that if it's not going to pay me, so we'll see what happens. I made my choices. I have to live with the consequences, and that's not like saying you're being punished or there's anything to be guilty or ashamed of. There's the action and there's a reaction. You lift the ball over here on the end, it hits these other balls, the ball on this end goes and moves. That's all there is to it. There's no guilt, there's no shame, there's no fear. It's just an action and a reaction. I chose not to do the monetization before they put the restriction in place. Here's the reaction. If I could go back in time and change one thing in my life, maybe that would be one of the things I would change. I would make sure my videos got monetized when I first started YouTube and started doing videos. But then again, maybe that wouldn't have made much of a difference because I wasn't really serious about YouTube until recently. So, let me know what you think. Comment below. I guess that's into this video, and I lied, and I'm sorry. This did not turn out to be a short video. I had a lot of stuff to say, so more than I thought. Catch you guys in the next one. Okay, well, that concludes this episode. Be sure to leave a thumb up if you like the video. Be sure to subscribe if you want to see more videos like this or any of my other videos. Be sure to hit that notification icon so that you can be notified when any new videos are released. And leave me some comments, feedback, suggestions so that I can improve and do even better for you guys. Also, please stop by my Teespring store. I've got more designs coming over from Spreadshirt, but this is what I have here right now. I've got 3 cool designs. I've got this mask does not equal safe. It's kind of an attitude for everybody trying to make us wear masks right now. I've got this Zen saying and drawing that I did, to reach your destination, embrace the journey. I think that's really cool. I've got a poem over here. Poem says, life doesn't have to be so hard. It has a flow. Sometimes you'll drift, sometimes you'll row, but you get to choose the destination you'll go. I think that's really cool also. So go ahead and grab some of this stuff, and that will support me and help me in my continuing work at YouTube, and I really appreciate it. Thank you for watching the video, and I will see you in the next one.